Welcome to the third and last part of the story. If you missed the first two videos with the main story and the first two updates, please click on the pop-out button in the right-hand top corner of the screen to listen to them first. In today's video you will hear the third and the final updates. Trust me, this will be interesting. Subscribe to the channel, follow the story until the end and then check out other stories I found for you. The next video will be out tomorrow. And now, let's get to the final part of the story. Update.
It's been some very rough days. For those who want to know, I did meet Jane. No, I didn't answer her letter, it was by a dumb mistake I made. I'll explain. A few days after my last post I had an anxiety attack due to the stress I had bottled up. According to my therapist, my life had a 180 change, and my mind hadn't had time to adjust. It was my first time having this kind of episode. I thought I was having a stroke. Tachycardia, sweating and panic clouded my judgment. My coworkers dialed the emergency, and an ambulance came for me. If I hadn't been so scared, I'd have enjoyed the ride. I was so very sure at any moment I'd croak. The paramedic repeated to me, "Mister, you are having a panic attack. Everything is going to be fine." I tried to focus on his words, but I couldn't. My only thoughts were, I'm going to die. At the hospital they sedated me, and I started to feel better and sleepy. I could answer questions. The doctor asked for my name, my age, what day it was. I could answer correctly until I passed out. When I woke up, guess who was next to me? Jane. I forgot to take out her name and number from my emergency contact. I was very confused due to the drugs. I smiled at her and said, "Jane?" She was sitting reading a book, and when she heard me, she jumped off her seat and approached me. She had tears in her eyes and told me, "Hello my love, you really scared us." That's when everything came back to me. I stopped smiling and asked, "What are you doing here?" I tried to sit but my body felt numb and clumsy. She shushed me and told me, "Take it easy, no sudden movements. I'll get the doctor." She kissed my forehead and left. I wanted to evade the kiss but also my reflexes were numb. That kiss felt so familiar, but I know it has been more than a year since she kissed me with sincere love. While she was gone, I looked around me. I was in a big room with other 6 beds, 4 of them with a patient. They are all separated by curtains to have privacy. I also noticed I wasn't wearing my clothes but a hospital robe. A few minutes later she came back with the doctor. I had slept for 26 hours. The doctor explained all about the anxiety attack I suffered. He asked me if I stopped taking any meds, but Jane and I answered almost at the same time, He doesn't take any meds. I hate how well she knows me. The doctor told me the episode comes from heavy stress or a sudden change in my life, or both. I glanced at Jane, but she hid her eyes. He ordered some days off to reflect and get some therapy. I told him I'm already on therapy but the doc said I need to see a psychiatrist. My therapist is a thanatologist, psychologist, so she can't prescribe meds. He told me that I must be hungry and the next day I'd be discharged, and he left. It was 8 p.m, so Jane had another hour until visiting hours were over and she didn't look like she wanted to leave. It felt awkward and that feeling leads me to chatter like an idiot. So, I asked, "You said, you scared us. Who are us?" She smiled. I bet she knew I couldn't resist saying, "Your parents and me. They were here in the morning." "Did they leave?" "Yes, they are expecting my call. I'll talk to them tomorrow." "You can leave, I want to sleep, but your dinner is almost here." When the doctor mentioned I must be hungry my stomach grumbled. I didn't eat anything for 26 hours. A few minutes later a veteran nurse came with a tray on a cart. She asked Jane to manipulate the bed, so I'd be in sitting position to eat. I don't know what kind of face I made because Jane was amused and staring at me while the nurse arranged the tray in front of me on my bed. I'm an ex-glutton guy. She said, "God, I love you so much." I glared at her again and asked her one more time to go home, but the nurse got really mad at me. According to her, Jane sponge bathed me and she even shaved me. I didn't notice until she told me. Finally she asked Jane to feed me because I was still coming out of the meds. I told her we're getting divorced, but she said that's not her problem and I should be thanking her, she's been here to help, and I am a very ungrateful person. Then she left. I refused her help and tried to eat even though my movements were very clumsy. I was making a mess with the soup and Jane begged me to let her help me. I felt like a spoiled brat making a tantrum. I just said, "Fine," and let her feed me. I never felt so vulnerable before. She behaved very maternalistic and affectionately. I could have a close look at her. She wasn't wearing makeup. I saw more lines of expression and also, she has crow's feet now. I felt better after I finished eating. She took the tray out of the room. She was in a good mood. I saw a patient in front of me, a man in his 50s, checking Jane when she went out and came back. I'm not surprised, she was wearing a coat and jeans, but she's very pretty. I didn't like the feeling of being in debt to her. When she sat down, I said, "Thanks for being here." She looked me in the eyes and smiled, "Anytime." She tried to comb my hair in my forehead with her hand, but I could reject her this time. She looked hurt and I didn't say anything. She tried to grab my hand, but I removed it and she said, "Can we talk, please?" I remained silent. There are only 2 reasons for me to at least be cordial to her: the twins. They weren't baptized when they were toddlers, but after Syl's ex went away, Jane and I supported Syl and the twins. I love those 2 little rascals with all my heart. When we babysit them, I told Jane this would count as parent training for when we had our owns. That will never happen. Syl asked us to be their godparents and I cried with emotion. They are the closest thing I have to a daughter and a son. I know Jane loves them too and I don't want any drama near my godson and goddaughter, and I miss them so much. I haven't seen them since about a week before D-Day, also I haven't spoken to them because I was avoiding Jane. So, I told her, "Okay, let's talk. In the condo. I'll contact you soon." She offered to take me home the next day when I get discharged. I told her no, I'll ask my parents to come for me and I'll see her again in the condo. I wanted to talk to my parents. She noticed I was looking for my clothes, she opened a cabinet next to my bed and gave me my phone. I looked at her suspiciously and she made her guilty face again, meaning I am sure she snooped on my phone, and she admitted it. We didn't utter a word. That's the language we developed by being married 11 years. I don't care if she snooped, I have nothing to hide. I texted my parents and they called almost immediately. While I was talking to them, the same old nurse told Jane visiting hours were over. She wanted to say goodbye, but I ignored her. She whispered to me, "I know you keep your word. I'll wait for you to contact me. I love you." She kissed my hair and left. I do keep my word. My father always told me, a man is worth as much as his word. I asked my parents if they knew what happened after I passed out. According to them, one of my coworkers showed up in the hospital to give information about my medical secure. That's when the staff saw the emergency contact and they called Jane. Syl contacted them after the hospital called. When Jane came, she met my coworker and he left. Jane was waiting for the doctor assigned to me when my parents arrived. My dad was very cordial to her and asked what she knew. After a while waiting, a nurse called out, "Relatives of patient op." They stood up and the nurse guided them to the doctor. They've already tested my blood and told them I'm physically healthy. My anxiety attack stems from a psychological aspect. The doctor asked Jane to see me because she's the emergency contact. She promised my parents to call them after seeing me. When she came back, she was surprised my parents were still there waiting. She gave them a ride to their home while she told them she helped the nurses to undress me and put the hospital robe on. They didn't talk about our divorce. My parents thanked her for the ride and agreed to visit in the morning and she'd switch in the afternoon around 1 p.m. Also, I called Syl to thank her for calling my parents. Luckily my godchildren were still up, and I could speak to them. They were drawing "Get well soon" cards for me. I promised to visit next weekend. Next day, it was Thursday, I was discharged from the hospital. My parents took me to my new home. A week before my panic attack, I started moving to my new place. I took my personal belongings. Everything else will stay in the condo. I'll rent it as fully furnished. Luckily, there are 3 universities nearby. I know there are students who would kill for a place like mine. I've already bought the basic furniture. A refrigerator, a stove. I have to learn to cook my meals from now on, a bed, a table with chairs and a desk. Cleaning tools. I felt thrilled for the first time. I can call this little apartment my own place. I bought a nice warm jacket for Mr. Page. I gave it to him, thanked him for his help and told him I'll visit from time to time. I didn't attend to my neighbor's dinner. I don't feel like dating yet. I think I need more therapy and some more healing. At my new home, I reflected about my goals, meeting Jane. I concluded I need closure, understand her actions, make her understand there is no possible reconciliation and end things amicably. I'll divorce her and move on. But I don't want to lose my in-laws. My sweet and incoherent Mill, my stubborn and strong Syl and her twins who I love. I don't want to miss their birthdays and future achievements. I want to be at least cordial to Jane. At job, my boss gave me 5 days off starting next week. I didn't want to stay in, so I went to the beach. It really helped me to be away from everything and rest. I realized I do love my wife, but the chubby one. The one who got excited when Pizza Fridays arrived. The one who I married 11 years ago. The one who supported my dreams and hopes. The one who hugged me when life got rough. I don't know what happened to her. Did vanity kill her? Horniness? No idea, but I loved my wife deeply, and the one who betrayed me is not my wife.
Update.
Finally, I saw my godchildren. Syl took them to a park, and I met them there. We four had a great day. Last weekend I met Jane. It was pretty much as I expected. Pleading and loss of crying on both sides. Surprisingly, she didn't blame me. She admitted it was all on her. When she snooped at my phone, she saw I moved from the condo, my Reddit posts, so she knows everything I know, and more important to her that I'm not dating. Before the meeting I had another session with my therapist and discussed my anxiety attack and the talk I'll have with Jane. She told me the best way to move on is following the next steps. 1. Hit rock bottom. 2. Identify and take control of your emotions. 3. Focus on self-improvement. 4. Take a break, literally. 5. Be constructive. Most of you champions told me to keep in check my emotions. I am sure I'll get angry, sad, anxious. I mustn't let it cloud my words and judgment. Also, I'm prone to have another anxiety episode. My therapist mentioned some techniques of breathing that really helped me. Let's move to last Saturday. I asked Mr. P to check if she was alone. She came on time, alone and stunning. New short dress, high heels, that she hates but she knows I like her wearing them. I won't lie, my heart skipped a beat. She smiled at me when I opened the door, like she was so happy to see me. I remained calm and expressless. She opened her arms expecting a hug, but I made her a sign inviting her to come in. I offered tea. She loves chamomile tea. She accepted, and I made myself a coffee. We sat in front of each other, the table in the middle. I took out my phone and started recording. I tried to write word by word and using boxing references, but it's too long and crude. I gave up. I'll give you a summary. After some dumb chit-chat, she made me feel awkward again. She told me she'd read my post and the waterwork began. She said the Jane who made me suffer is gone now. She says that the thing called affair fog is real and she can't believe what she did to me. I told her, then you know I think your letter has been sugar-coated. She said all she wrote is true, but I mentioned I think it is BS that Flirty brainwashed her. She's 10 times smarter than that 403. I demand her to tell me the truth. She went silent and I raised my voice. No, Jane, you are not allowed to be silent again. I had to breathe because I was getting angry. You have to come clean to me right now. I know more than what you wrote in your letter. Sadly, she admitted she wanted to F Baldy. She admitted she loved the attention she was receiving, and when she saw Baldy devouring her with his eyes, she felt thrilled and aroused. She confessed it began before the elliptical machines incident about a week before when I was changing clothes in the showers, and she was waiting for me outside. Baldy chatted with her and he was flirty and she couldn't believe he'd come on to her. She cried when she told me this. I asked, is that what it takes for you to throw your morals and ethics away? A strong body and a bird brain? From that moment I refer to Baldy as bird brain. She said she was really stupid and selfish and that she took me for granted. But she assures me that this was only physical, never emotional. She swears she never said to him I love you, and I am the only owner of her heart and her body. I breathed and regained some composure. I told her, it's been about 3 months since we had sex and last time, I could tell you weren't into it. I bet you were longing for bird brain. She says that's not true because according to her, she can't bear a life without me. I said, I don't believe you. You had a good income. You could easily sustain a decent life with bird brain. She repeated she doesn't love him, and he was just a toy. I called BS one more time and reminded her when I saw them in the mall. I'm going to copy this part. I saw you at the mall, with him. Hugging, kissing like when we were engaged. She was fidgeting. I'm so sorry. Tell me the truth. You do love him. She shook her head. I liked how people stared at us. But I don't love him. Seems like you were the perfect couple, which would never happen with us, right? You loved the attention which you would never have with a person like me. Please, don't say that. Why not? It's true. It is. I don't perceive myself as an attractive man. I'm the kind of guy anybody wouldn't look twice. No, you are the man of my dreams. I only want to be with you. If you love me so much, then why cheat? What did he give you I didn't? She couldn't answer the question. I repeated it and she covered her face with her hands and finally admitted she considered Birdbrain's body more attractive than mine. Another jab. It was something I expected, but it hurts. I swear I had a moment of weakness and I hate myself for that. One moment? I yelled again. That moment lasted 9 months. Crying again, it went out of control. 9 months. 9 months of disrespect and lies. Tell me, how could I trust you ever again? Was Birdbrain the only one? What will happen when the next douchebag steps in front of you? You were very good at lying and hiding your cheating. Now she looked desperate. I'm telling you the truth. I know you have no reason to believe me. But I've reflected. I've seen my life without you, and I am so sorry. I'm sorry I cheated on you. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry your family hate me. But most of all, I am so ashamed I hurt you. I beg for your forgiveness. I'm here to come clean and fix things so we can be together again. A lot of tears fell from her face. Before D-Day I'd give an arm to ease those tears. Today I only felt anger. I think you are not getting it. I can no longer trust you. I can't be your husband anymore. There is no way I can forget you in that room with him. You texted him the very same day I told you I was going to my parents, and you were ready to get rid of me. My God, Jane, half an hour after I left, he was inside you and raw. And you even let him finish inside. Why? By this moment I was crying too, and I forced her to answer. She looked defeated. She said it made Birdbrain more excited and she liked it, and since she can't get pregnant, she thought it didn't matter. I swallowed saliva because I felt a huge knot in my throat. With trembling voice, I asked, "What else?" I was fishing for more information. I didn't expect to hear what was coming. Jane couldn't see me in the eyes. She looked down and said, "He made me beg him to finish inside." This was an uppercut to me. I couldn't speak for several minutes. This is when I hit rock bottom. We both cried and Jane only said, "Forgive me, forgive me." She tried to grab my hand, but I removed it. Then she told me the first time Birdbrain finished inside was the first time she denied intimacy to me. She felt dirty and didn't want me to be tainted. I felt disgusted. I almost threw up. She swears that's when Birdbrain became more demanding and threatened to come and tell me everything because he thinks Jane belongs to him. I couldn't utter a word. I could still feel the knot in my throat. I wiped my tears with my sleeve. I used our signs language to tell her that her makeup was running. She went to the bathroom, and I could catch my breath to calm down a little. While she was away, I could confirm there was no way I'd take her back. I'm so disgusted, I feel like I was gutted out. But also, I knew I needed to know this. I needed to know how deep the rabbit hole goes. I don't want to carry this anger and confusion anymore. When she came back from the bathroom, I told her I couldn't go on. I need space and time. She said she understood. Before she left, she asked me if I would ever forgive her. I told her I don't know, but I appreciate her honesty. She hugged me. I didn't return the hug. She cried and I could feel her tears wetting my neck. She swore in the name of my late father-in-law, who was her hero, she will never cheat on me ever again, that she has gone to NC with Birdbrain, she called him Birdbrain herself, and to devote her life to us, to our marriage. She even proposed to gain weight again, so I'd be sure she's committed to me. I told her she's saying nonsense. We both made a big effort to lose weight. But she says therapy made her realize she's a narcissist and an attention junkie. I gave her a key copy of the condo to get all her stuff. She finally left. I thought I'd cry a lot, but strangely I had a feeling of relief. It feels like my mind is telling me now you can move on. I lay down and reflected a lot. I even skipped a meal. In my mind I finally accepted the love of my life is gone. I guess, I got my closure.
My opinion. Wow, you are one of the strongest men I've ever had pleasure of reading. Probably she was under the influence of her coworker, but still. She made this decision, she was seeking attention, she was the one who didn't handle her vanity. Vanity is definitely my favorite sin, as John Milton in The Devil's Advocate once said. How deep this is, and how it fits her behavior in the situation when Birdbrain came to her. She paid for it. I don't see any possibility of you taking her back, to be honest. She lost it and you should move on. I wish you the best. What are your thoughts about this story? Let me know in the comment box below.